After taking his first Premier Class title and bringing the Riders' title back to Iwata in 2021, Fabio Quartararo failed to defend his title in 2022. All through 2022, Quartararo was ringing the year of his M1 and was miles ahead of the rest of the Yamaha riders, but there is only so much a rider can do. At some point, the shortcomings of the bike are simply too much for the rider to make a difference, and that's what happened with Fabio Quartararo in 2022. Quartararo is going to stay with Yamaha for 2023 and 2024 as he renewed his contract on the promise of an improved engine. But, looking from the outside, it would appear that both Quartararo and Yamaha are in for another season full of struggles. Due to a combination of things, Yamaha are at a huge disadvantage, and here are 5 reasons why. After the withdrawal of Suzuki and RNF Racing partnering with Aprilia, Yamaha would be the only factory team in MotoGP to run without a satellite team. The FIM president thinks this situation would last only 1 year, and even if we assume that somehow VR46 would move to Yamaha in 2024, 1 full year of racing with just 2 bikes is going to put Yamaha at a huge disadvantage, especially with the introduction of sprint races. The first disadvantage is obvious. When you have only 2 bikes while your opponent has 8, you are very limited in terms of the number of combinations of setups, tires, etc. you can try over the duration of practice sessions. Yamaha team boss Lynn Jarvis explains, next year it will definitely not be an advantage to only have 2 bikes. For sure they gather a lot of data. They have not only 8 bikes, but they have 5 or 6 riders that are really fast. All that availability of data, they can try every tire during practice, they can consider everything and evaluate it. For sure it's an advantage. However, running 8 bikes is a huge undertaking on its own, and Yamaha doesn't envy Ducati in that regard. Yamaha even turned away their beloved Valentino Rossi because they already had a contract in place with RNF and were reluctant to run 6 bikes in 2022. Jarvis explains, we don't want to have 8 bikes because it's also a burden. It's an advantage, but it's also a burden to keep supporting 8 bikes. So our evaluation is that 4 is really the optimum number, and it's a pity that next year we won't have 4. The second disadvantage, and this one is out of Yamaha's control. Due to the introduction of sprint races, practice times will suffer, meaning riders and teams will have less time to find that perfect setup and race tires. The biggest hit is that in 2023, there will be no FP4, which is the session when the riders work on their race pace, and the Sunday morning warm-up is also being cut in half. As a result, having 8 riders sharing data will prove to be a bigger advantage to find the right setup than it was in 2022. On the other hand, with just 2 riders, it would be very difficult for the Yamaha duo to find the right setup for the race, and it would be practically impossible to sneak in occasional testing of new parts. The third disadvantage exists because of the state of Yamaha at the moment. Just like Marquez and Honda, right now only Fabio Quartararo is able to extract the maximum out of the M1, and as a result, the data they gather from the other side of the garage is not usable for Fabio. The 2021 world champion explains, Pecco has multiple riders on the same machine pushing the limits. He can learn a lot of things from other riders' data. I feel alone fighting against the world. Last year, there were 4 Yamahas on track, but both satellites and my teammate had a lot of problems. It was difficult to find the limit. The fourth disadvantage is that the current M1 has veered off the Yamaha philosophy. Yamaha has always been the smooth riding quick turning machine, which was never fastest in the straight line but always made up time in the corners and was really competitive over the whole lap. However, due to increased emphasis on the lack of top speed and only 1 rider being able to extract the performance from the package, the M1 took a different direction and developed into a more aggressive handling bike. The straightforward proof of this is Franco Morbidelli's performance, or lack thereof, since he jumped over from the 2019 spec Yamaha to the factory bike. Franco Morbidelli is a naturally smooth rider and was able to extract the full potential from his 2019 spec M1. Morbidelli was the runner-up in 2020 with a year-old bike and somehow managed to score a podium in 2021 with a 2-year-old bike. But as soon as he jumped on the 2021 Yamaha, he was lost, and it remained that way for almost the entirety of 2022. Only towards the dying stages of the 2022 season, Franco started appearing in the top 10 again, and Cal Crutchlow revealed that the improvement was a result of Franco riding the M1 in a more aggressive manner. Crutchlow explains, the Yamaha was always the slowest bike in a straight line, but still the fastest around the track most of the time. Now it's trying to be faster and faster on the straight, and in turn it's becoming more and more difficult to ride. Honestly speaking, I think Yamaha needs to go back to make it so that you don't have to be an aggressive rider. That's the reality. The problem is, and also why Frankie's had to turn into an aggressive rider, is because the bike has become like that. And that's not Yamaha's philosophy. We need to make the bike smoother and calmer. We need to work on that for next year and it'll make the bike better overall. And the fifth disadvantage Yamaha are at, is their operating philosophy. This is nothing new and has been an issue for far too long. Valentino, Jorge, Maverick, all have been through this and now, Fabio, Franco and Cal are struggling with the same thing. Yamaha engineers have the tendency to value data more than riders' feedback and that has often left even the best ones frustrated. Yamaha believes that every new part they ship out must be better than the current because that's the conclusion they drew in their simulations. However, sometimes, there are things only a rider can feel on the track and Yamaha engineers always seem to fault the rider in these situations. This combined with the language barrier adds additional hurdles in the speed and direction of development. Crutchlow explains, the work we do is important, but the strangest thing of all is that the engineers sometimes like things that I don't. As a result, they distance themselves a little bit from me. I think it's because of the mentality. Many times they think that new things have to be better, but that's not always the case. Is there anything else that I missed which could add more problems for Yamaha in 2023? Let's chat in the comments below. And before you leave, don't forget to hit the like button and consider subscribing if you aren't already subscribed.